Robert sat in his dimly lit living room. The only sound, a faint hum from the TV, just background noise to fill the emptiness. His phone rested in his palm. His thumb hovered over a name, Tom, his best friend, or at least he used to be. They once spoke every day, shared stories that didn't need a reason, laughed at jokes no one else would understand. But now, it had been years, and for the first time Robert wondered, if I called, would he even pick up? He sighed, placed the phone down, looked around the room. Silence, not the peaceful kind, the kind that lingers, that doesn't just sit in the air, it sinks into your bones. He used to love the quiet, back when it was a choice, but now it felt different. Have you ever caught yourself staring at your phone, scrolling through names, and realizing how long it's been? Have you ever told yourself you'd call tomorrow, only to watch tomorrow turn into years? Have you ever woken up one day and wondered, when did I become so alone? Loneliness doesn't arrive like a storm. It doesn't come crashing in. It slips in unnoticed. One unmade phone call at a time, one missed gathering, one quiet moment of thinking, they're probably too busy anyway. And then suddenly, you realize, no one is calling you either. But what if I told you? It's not too late. What if one phone call could change everything? What if a single conversation could remind you you are not forgotten? Someone out there still remembers your voice, still cares. At Elderly Wisdom Story, we share stories like this because they matter, because you matter. If you've ever felt this way, you are not alone. This community is here for you. So if you believe in the power of connection, of wisdom, of shared stories, subscribe now. Be part of something that understands. And stay with me, because what I'm about to share might just be the difference between another silent night and a life that still feels full. Robert's life wasn't always this quiet. Not long ago, his days were filled with warmth, the steady rhythm of friendship, the simple joy of knowing that when he spoke, someone was listening. Thursday mornings were sacred. Him and Tom, 2 steaming cups of coffee, laughter spilling across the table like it always had. The stories never ran out. They never needed a reason to call, to check in, to remind each other, I'm still here, you're still here. And then life shifted, slowly at first. A missed phone call here, a rescheduled meetup there. Then one day, Tom moved a few states away to be closer to family. The calls became less frequent, but they both promised, we'll catch up soon. And for a while, they did, until they didn't. Then Robert's wife passed, and suddenly, the world that had once felt so full, so alive, became unbearably silent. The empty seat across from him at breakfast, the phone that never rang, the days that bled into each other, indistinguishable from the last. He told himself he was fine. He kept busy. He turned on the TV just to hear another voice, even if it wasn't speaking to him. He scrolled through social media, watching life go on, people celebrating anniversaries, laughing with friends, traveling the world. And that's when it hit him. Somewhere along the way, he had stopped being part of the story. But isn't that how loneliness works? It doesn't knock on your door, demanding to be let in. No, it seeps in, slow and quiet, in the spaces between the moments. The first time you sit down to dinner and realize no one is there to ask about your day. The first time you reach for your phone, then put it back down because you're not sure if anyone would pick up. The first time you wake up and feel no urgency to get out of bed because no one is waiting for you. You tell yourself it's temporary, that one day you'll call, one day you'll make plans, one day you'll feel like yourself again. But the truth is, time doesn't bring people back, and the longer you wait, the quieter life becomes. And it's not just the silence that hurts, it's what it does to you. Science tells us loneliness is as lethal as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It raises the risk of heart disease, stroke, dementia. But statistics don't capture the slow erosion of the soul, the way your world shrinks, the way laughter feels like a distant memory, the way you start to disappear, even while you're still here. But ask yourself this, is this the life you imagined? Did you picture yourself waking up to an empty house, living only through memories? Did you think you'd spend your days watching instead of living? Or did you once really believe, that 70 could still mean something? That life didn't end just because the years moved forward? Because here's the truth no one tells you. It's not too late. It's not too late to pick up the phone, to hear a familiar voice, to be remembered, to be part of the story again. But you can't wait for the world to come to you. You have to reach for it. Before one day, you wake up and realize the only thing lonelier than being alone is knowing you let it happen. The dust had settled on Robert's desk, a thin layer untouched, a quiet reminder of time passing, of things left undone. As he wiped the surface, his fingers caught on something, an edge, a corner, a forgotten photograph buried beneath old papers. He picked it up, and there they were, him and Tom, frozen in time, glasses raised, laughter caught midair, the kind of laughter that isn't just a sound, but a feeling, a warmth that lingers long after the moment is gone, the kind you don't think will ever fade, the kind that feels like home. His thumb traced the edges of the photo. Something stirred deep inside him. It wasn't just nostalgia. It wasn't just a memory. It was longing, not for the past, but for someone. For the first time in years, he didn't just remember Tom. He missed him, not as a name in his phone, not as a passing thought, but as a friend who was still out there, a friend who, maybe, was missing him too. And then another thought crept in. Had he waited too long? How many times had he picked up his phone, only to put it back down? How many moments had slipped through his fingers? He had spent so long assuming the door had closed, that too much time had passed, that Tom had moved on. But what if the only thing standing between them wasn't time, but fear? The weight of it pressed against his chest. The silence in the room felt heavier than ever. He picked up his phone, fingers trembling slightly, breath caught in his throat. This time, he didn't hesitate. It rang once, twice. His heart pounded. A third ring. And then, hello, a voice, steady, familiar, unchanged in all the ways that mattered. Tom was still there. And just like that, the silence cracked. Just enough for warmth to slip through. For a second, Robert couldn't speak. He almost laughed at himself, at how foolish he had been to wait this long. Then, finally, he found the words. A simple greeting, an apology that wasn't needed, a joke that felt like no time had passed at all. Because friendship doesn't fade, it waits. And sometimes, all it takes to find your way back is one phone call. So tell me, who's the one person you've been meaning to call? Don't wait, not this time. James had always been the kind of man who could make a room come alive. A story for every occasion, a joke for every silence, the kind of laugh that could shake the walls, that could turn an ordinary moment into something worth remembering. People gravitated toward him because laughter does that. It pulls people in. It binds them together. It makes life feel lighter, even when it isn't. But then, one day, the laughter stopped. It didn't happen all at once. It was slow, subtle, like a candle burning down to its wick. When his wife passed, the world didn't just feel quieter. It became quieter. The sound of her laughter, once filling their home like background music, was gone. And in its absence, his own laughter faded too. At first, he didn't notice. He kept busy, kept moving, told himself that silence was just another part of aging. But then, one evening, he stood in front of the bathroom mirror, toothbrush in hand, and he saw it, his own reflection, expressionless, distant, unfamiliar. And that's when it hit him. He couldn't remember the last time he had laughed. Not a chuckle, not a polite smile, a real laugh, a deep, belly-shaking, eyes-watering kind of laugh. And for the first time, he wondered, would he ever feel that way again? What happens when laughter disappears from a life? Science has an answer. Research from Stanford tells us laughter isn't just about joy, it's about survival. It reduces stress by 40%. It releases endorphins. It lowers blood pressure. People who laugh daily have a 25% lower risk of heart disease. But statistics don't tell the whole story. What they don't say is how laughter makes you feel, how it reminds you that you're still here, still capable of joy, still part of the world around you. James' daughter must have sensed it, the weight he carried, the silence that had settled in his life. One afternoon, she handed him an envelope. Inside, a ticket to a comedy show. He almost didn't go. He almost said, "What's the point?" But something made him say yes. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was habit. Maybe, deep down, he just missed the sound of his own laughter. He walked into the small theater, found his seat, arms crossed, uncertain. The lights dimmed. The comedian stepped onto the stage. And then, within minutes, the first joke landed. A chuckle. Not his, someone else's. Then another, and another. And before he could stop himself, he felt it. His own laughter, raw and unexpected, bubbling up from somewhere deep inside him. The sound startled him, like it belonged to someone else. But it didn't. It was his. It had been there all along, waiting. That night something shifted. Not everything, not all at once. But when he walked out of that theater, the air felt a little lighter, the silence a little less heavy, because laughter had found its way back to him. So let me ask you, when was the last time you laughed until your stomach hurt? When was the last time you let yourself feel light, even for a moment? Maybe it's been too long. Maybe you don't even remember. But that doesn't mean it's gone. It's still there, waiting. So watch something that makes you smile. Call someone who once made you laugh. Let yourself feel again. Because laughter isn't just noise. It's proof that you're still alive. Linda had always been the one with the sharpest memory. She could recall entire conversations from decades ago, the exact shade of her childhood bedroom walls, the way her mother's voice softened just slightly when she called her in for dinner. People marveled at her. She never forgot a birthday, never missed an appointment, never had to write things down. Her mind was quick, dependable, hers. Until one day, it wasn't. It started small. A misplaced set of keys, a forgotten grocery item, that moment in the kitchen, standing with the fridge open, wondering why she'd walked in there at all. Nothing major, nothing alarming, until it happened again, and then one evening, as she sat down for dinner, she realized something. She couldn't remember what she'd had for lunch. She tried to picture it, tried to retrace her steps, but the memory was gone, just gone. And for the first time, a thought crept in, a quiet, chilling thought. Is this how it begins? The fear of losing herself, of fading, little by little, until one day, she'd no longer recognize the face in the mirror. She had seen it happen before. Her neighbor, once lively, independent, began to forget names, then places, then the way home. She had sat across from a dear friend at lunch, watched as she struggled to recall the simplest words. And Linda? She had always thought, not me, not yet, I'm still sharp. But memory doesn't disappear overnight. It fades, one piece at a time, like an old photograph left too long in the sun. 1 in 9 people over 65 experience cognitive decline. It's a statistic, a number, but numbers don't capture the fear, the terror of losing the moments that make you who you are. And yet, there's hope, because the brain, like a muscle, can be trained, strengthened, protected, and it doesn't take hours of effort or complicated exercises. Sometimes, all it takes is 1 minute. Linda decided to fight back. Every night, just before bed, she gave herself a simple challenge. 1 minute, just 60 seconds, to close her eyes and recall 3 things. What she ate that day, who she spoke to, and one thing that made her smile. That was it. At first, felt silly, too simple to matter. But then, something shifted. The fog started to clear. Small details became sharper. She found herself remembering more, focusing better, feeling present, in ways she hadn't in years. It didn't happen all at once, but it happened. So now, let me ask you, what did you have for lunch today? Who did you speak to? What's one thing that made you smile? Try this tonight. Just 1 minute. You might be surprised at how powerful it is. The hardest lesson in life is realizing that time doesn't wait. It moves forward, with or without us. The phone calls we never made, the laughter we let fade, the memories we fail to protect, each one slipping further away, until one day, we wake up and wonder, how did we get here? Alone, watching instead of living, remembering instead of experiencing. But life isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we create, moment by moment, choice by choice. And the truth is, it's not too late to reclaim it, because friendships don't disappear, they wait. Laughter doesn't die, it lingers, waiting to be heard again. And memories, they aren't just fragments of yesterday, they're bridges to the future, gentle reminders that we are still here, still capable of joy, still meant to live, not just exist. So take that step, call that friend, find something that makes you laugh, and give yourself permission to cherish the life that's still in front of you. And if this spoke to you, if something inside you stirred, even just a little, if you believe in the power of connection, in the wisdom we carry, in the stories that still need to be told, then subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Story, because this isn't just about looking back. It's about moving forward, together,